It started during a weekend hike. I needed space, air, something to distract me from life. I wasn't expecting anything but trees, wind, and peace. I parked my car on a gravel turnout and walked into the forest, deeper than I'd ever gone before. No cell signal, no noise except for birds and the crunch of leaves under my boots. Around midday, I spotted something shiny under a pile of dead leaves off the trail. I brushed the debris aside and found a phone, an old flip phone, covered in dirt but surprisingly intact. It looked like something out of the early 2000s. Weird, but I thought maybe someone dropped it years ago. I shouldn't have answered, but I did. Then a voice low and whispery said my full name. Not just my first name, but all of it. The exact way my mother used to say it when she was angry. I looked around, expecting someone to jump out from the trees, laughing, but no one was there. I held the phone to my ear and whispered, "Hello," but it rang again, louder this time, still said unknown. I didn't answer. I turned and started walking back toward the trail, but the phone kept ringing. But it didn't break. It just stopped ringing. I kept thinking someone was in the house. Shadows felt thicker. Every creak sounded like footsteps. I finally drifted off around 3 a.m., only to wake up to the sound of that same ringtone echoing through the hall. Somehow, the phone had moved. It was now sitting on my kitchen table, open, screen glowing. I tried to ignore it, but it was like the sound was following me. I finally picked it up again. Silence. The phone sat neatly on my nightstand, battery reinserted, screen glowing. A new message blinked. "You can't leave." For the first time in days, I felt relief. I waited until it vanished, then went home. I opened it, expecting a dead screen, but it lit up. Somehow, the old flip phone was there. I know I left it behind, deep in the forest, but there it was, glowing and vibrating, still ringing. The voice wasn't hers. It was something pretending to be her. The tone was wrong, flat and cold. One priest laughed at me. Until it rang in his pocket, he swore he never touched the thing. People I know crying, screaming, begging for help. Sometimes I see myself on the screen, sleeping or walking, like it's watching me through a camera I can't find. "I miss you," it said. "Come back to the forest." Battery full. Signal bars. That was the first red flag. But the phone kept finding me, always ringing, always glowing. Sometimes in my mailbox, sometimes in my car, somewhere remote. No phones, no connection, nothing. Once, I woke up with it in my hand. Before I could process it, the phone rang. Nothing. But the ringing didn't stop. I followed the sound to my closet. Inside, I found the phone sitting on top of an old box of photographs. Open. Screen. This time, the screen said "Behind you." On the wall, scratched into the paint, were the words, "Answer me." The screen showed unknown. My stomach dropped. Silence. No one there. But the light in the hallway had gone out. I felt something brush past. My eyes cold and heavy like wet cloth. Every hair on my body stood up. I turned, heart pounding. Nothing. Just trees and wind. Then the voice whispered, "Turn around." Static. Then breathing. I hung up and dropped the phone, backing away. This time the voice said, "You shouldn't have come here." I asked who they were. I froze. I dropped the phone again and ran. It didn't stop. Later that night, back home, I heard it again. The same ring. I checked my actual phone, nothing. Then I realized it was coming from my backpack. This time, the voice didn't speak. It screamed. Not words, just a long, distorted shriek that forced me to throw the phone across the room. That night, I barely slept. The call read "Mom," but my mom died 3 years ago. I answered. I screamed and pulled the battery out of the phone. The screen died, but the next morning, it was back. That day, I threw it in the river near my house. I watched it sink, bubbles rising. That night, it rang again, louder than ever. I searched the house. I turned so slowly I thought my heart would give out. I left the house that night and stayed at a hotel. When I returned the next morning, everything looked normal until I checked the bedroom. I moved out the next day, found a new apartment, changed my number, threw away every piece of old tech I had. I tried to get help. A tech guy said the phone wasn't even connected to a network. A psychic refused to touch it. The calls changed after that. Now it doesn't just talk, it shows things. 2 weeks ago, I smashed it with a hammer, burned it, then buried the remains. Yesterday, I came home and it was sitting on my pillow. No scratches, battery full. Tonight, I'm leaving again, but as I pack, I hear it ringing from my suitcase. It's already waiting for me. Until next time, stay safe.